Pithic? What's that?
Pithic is in London. I live in Surrey now. I don't live in Sussex anymore. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look good.
Thank you.
How's everything been going?
Everything's been good. It's been busy. Future Solar Technologies has been like fantastic. And yeah, we're just busy, growing child. Everything's just kind of like busy. How you been?
Okay. I'm good. I see all the pictures in the back. What is that?
It's just because it's either we have a playing background or there's like something. It's better than something. It's better to have something in the back than absolutely nothing. So.
Yeah, I got to work on that myself. I'm gonna do that today.
Yeah, and you know, it's like you have flowers or flower at the back or something. It's just it's got like loads of different like arts, like, you know, Jimi Hendrix, Taxi Driver, what's his name?
Travis Bickle.
Yeah, what is his name? What's his name again? I can't remember his name.
De
Niro, yeah. It's got all of the different. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. It's different.
Okay. When I ask you what your name is, just say your first name. Don't say your whole name. But
Muchanete. First name's Muchanete. Second name, middle name, I should say, Sekai. Everybody knows me as Sekai.
Well, I haven't asked you yet.
Family.
Hold on. I gotta ask you first. I was just trying to set you up. I didn't want you to say your whole name or like your last name. I don't know. Unless you want to.
I'll just say Sekai. Sekai is it's my middle name. So.
All right. So anyway, just say the first thing that comes to mind. I know if you're lying. I'm
Sekai.
I still have it at you. Okay. What's your name?
Sekai.
Sekai. Your name is Sekai. Tell me about yourself.
I don't know where to start because there's a lot of different parts about myself. So you're gonna have to like tell me what. Well, I was born in Zimbabwe. I grew up in England and Zimbabwe. I've been to 21 schools around the world. I'm 41 years old. Yeah, I've traveled the world. I've been through it. I'm kind of the diasporan Zimbabwean, you know, story of movement and you know, political backgrounds and experiences, etc., etc.
Okay.
It's quite, I don't know, when somebody says, tell me about yourself, it's like there's just so many parts of myself. It's like I'm almost like I've got 3 or 4 different parts of myself. So it's like
3 or 4 different parts. Or what are these 3 or 4 different parts?
I don't know, because you know, sometimes when there's different parts of culture and different parts of, you know, experience of self. So when somebody says, tell me who you are, I'll be thinking, on what stage? Because it's almost like my life is a stage depending on who I'm speaking to or where I am. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So it's very, you don't know what I mean? No, I'm a different, when I'm in Zimbabwe, I'm a different person, different culture, different language, different person. When I'm in England, I'm a different person.
Okay.
And then when I'm in wherever other country, wherever I am, I'm a different person. So sometimes when I say, tell me about yourself, it's, there's a lot of compartments of who I am.
No, I feel you. So how are you different from Zimbabwe than in?
Yeah, but I identify I am the child of the soil. Mwanawevu, that's what we call it. That's Mwanawevu. I was born in where my ancestors came from in Zimbabwe. Although I was born in the capital city, where my family comes from, it's like Shishavani Murambazihwa, which is where my the chief of where my ancestors come from is, you know, that's where I'm from. So there's that part of me. And then there's a part of me I was brought up, my stepfather was an undersecretary of the Rhodesian government under Ian Smith, and he was white English. So I was born out of that, grew up around that perspective. And then also the perspective of being brought up with my grandmother and my mother, and, you know, so yeah.
What was that like?
I don't know.
Or, you know,
I'm kind of like, no, normally. Pardon, sorry?
I said, what was that like? Just, you know, the Rhodesian stepfather. I mean, you hear so much about Rhodesia. It isn't.
I don't know. I think being brought up on both sides of the spectrum is interesting, because my mother was a radical Black woman, and she was pro-Black, and she was one of the first women that brought, you know, showed the new Zimbabwe after 1980, after independence. She worked for this organization called Publicity Association. So after independence, she kind of said, you know, we're now free. It's now Black power. Everybody come to Zimbabwe. You know, come to Zimbabwe. See how it is. You know, it's now, you know, Black power, free. Okay. So, and then there's this. When he married my stepfather, who was pro Rhodesia, and very much a white supremacist in certain ways. We changed him. I think my mother changed him a lot. You know, in a way to say that we are also human beings of being Black people. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a certain I think there's a certain thing that my stepfather didn't actually quite understand with his upbringing to understand that Black people are also human beings. I think it's just the white mindset. But we kind of, I think when with my mum, he got out of that mindset.
How did they get together if he had that mindset?
They got together in 1970 before I was born.
No,
my mum would tell me that. I'm echoing a bit.
Maybe it's just
Can you hear me echo?
side.
Can you hear me echo?
No, I don't hear it.
I'm hearing myself echo.
You want to go back out and come back in?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try again. Is that yeah? I'm still echoing. It's a bit
still hear it?
distracting. It's a bit distracting. It wasn't echoing before. I don't know whether you've done something.
Hold on.
Right. Don't know whether to use my. Oh, darn it. Hello? I've actually, hello?
Yeah, is it echoing
Can you hear
now?
me?
I hear you.
No, I've just put my earphones in, because I think I've put my earphones in so I can just do that way. I think that's much better.
Okay. Like I said, the first thing that comes to mind, I know if you're lying, I'm psychic.
Sekai.
That is no. Are you walking through the forest? Is it daytime or nighttime?
It's evening.
Evening. That's the picture your mind makes. What is evening like?
Evening is like 5 p.m. It's time to go out and have a drink after work, isn't it?
Okay.
Go to the pub.
Who are you walking with?
I work with Julian, and I work with
I said, who are you walking in your mind? Like, what picture does your mind make? Who are you walking with?
Walking right now.
No. Okay, let's start over. I'm gonna ask you a question, and whatever picture your mind makes.
Okay.
All right. So you're walking through the forest. Is it daytime or nighttime?
Daytime.
All right, you come. Who are you walking with?
My sister.
Your sister. You come to an animal that's stuck in a trap. What type of animal is it?
A cow. Or an elephant. Actually, an elephant.
An elephant. Do you stop and help it, or do you keep going?
I stop and help it.
Okay. You come to an object. It could be anything in the universe you want it to be. What is it?
And any object.
Anything.
A pot.
All right. Okay. You come to a cup. What is the cup made out of?
Gold.
What's inside of it?
Water.
Is it half empty or half full?
Full.
You come to a body of water. It can be any type of body of water. What type of body of water is it?
Sea. Like ocean.
Ocean. How do you get past it?
Fly.
Fly. You fly over it. Okay.
Try and fly over it.
Come to a
Like-
wall. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, it's fine.
You come to a wall. How many feet tall is the wall?
6 foot.
Is it hard to get over or easy to get over?
Easy to get over.
Easy to get over. Once you get past the wall, what do you see?
Paradise. Utopia.
What does it look like?
It's green. It's got lots of flowers, a lot of beautiful people. Yeah, that's what I see.
All right, you said it was daytime, right? So there's something that you're afraid of. What are you afraid is in the dark?
I think silence. Sometimes I don't like it to be too quiet. I like to hear life.
Okay. Silence. What is the
Silence
issue
is
with
spooky. It's spooky. It sometimes when it's dark, I think it forces you to think.
Okay. Is it something that you don't want to think about or you just don't want to think?
Yeah, it's just like when you've got. I think it's to do with grief as well. When you've like immersed with so much grief, sometimes you just don't always want to be alone with your thoughts in the evenings.
You feel
I
like you
think
have
that's
a lot-
what I think probably that's what it is. I just try to probably, yeah.
feel like you have a lot of grief, or do you have a lot of grief?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I think loss of amazing human beings in my life. I've lost a lot of people. Not just through death, but through, circumstances.
What are the circumstances? What do you mean?
I think the circumstances is just misunderstandings and not being able to actually have proper conversation of understanding where each and every person's coming from, and then you just lose relationships, and then there's the losing my mother and then losing my sister who last year. So those are the biggest, I think, probably why I don't really like to be in the dark or in the evening. So the daytime is good.
Got you. You said you were walking with your sister. Your sister's who you're closest to. Which sister was it? Or
Amelie.
Amelie.
Yeah. She was a lot of fun.
That's one you're closest to, or?
Yes, she passed away last year. That's the sister that I'm most closest to. That's the only kind of sibling I kind of had a relationship, like a really close relationship with. And I think, not saying I'm not, with other cousins or other siblings, I was closest to her because she came to Zimbabwe with me when she was younger, when she was like 19, 17, 19, no, 17, she was 19. She came to Zimbabwe with me, and she came with me to see my mom's grave just like 10 years after my mom passed away. So she's just been there for me. She's just, yeah. So she's funny, and she's fun, and she was funny, and she was fun, and she was always encouraging me. And, I could call her anytime, and she can, she doesn't judge me. She doesn't look down on me at all or belittle me or anything like that. She's always been that sister that always pushes me to be better.
Talk about her, like, I mean, I guess she's still in your heart, but like,
yeah, she was so, I know this sounds a bit like, she was so mature for her years. Like, I would come with like a very complex problem, and she would have the right words to say things. And she's the one who's actually taught me about, creating boundaries. Because I think when you have the disease that I've had, the people-pleasing disease, it sometimes, if you don't eradicate it, it actually ends up really not destroying your life, but can make your life very difficult, I think. And she always used to tell me to say, sis, we love you. If you ever want to take time out and, you want a boundary for yourself, it don't feel bad, just do it. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So if I was not speaking to her for weeks on end or whatever, she wouldn't be offended, or she wouldn't be offended if I say no, she wouldn't be offended by any of this, of any other. And then I think I've created a relationship where I was always the giver in our family unit, that when I start to say no, or I start to, say I can't do this, or I can't, it becomes an attack. So I think just being with my sisters, being allowed to be myself with no judgment. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. How old was she when she passed away?
24. 24, yeah. 24 years old, yeah. She's a baby.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Circumstances, if I may ask.
Pardon?
What were the circumstances, if I may ask?
We still kind of like keep it into the family, so I don't really share it, because I think it's still quite hard on my father and my sister's mom. So I kind of don't share the circumstances, because we're still kind of processing the whole thing that's happened. But it was quite sudden. And I was in Zimbabwe at the time she passed away, sorting out my mum's estate. So, it was a shock to all of us, and it's still a shock. And I think it's such a, shocking death that I think it's been very difficult for us to process. Very difficult for us to process. And yeah, and as being the elder sister, I think my siblings would have probably wanted me to be more of a comfort in certain ways, but at the same time, it's like I also need comforting myself, because I'm still going through losing my mom. So it's like it's like a double whammy, and I'm also a mother, so I have to also take care of the well-being of my child. So it's been very, very hard, very difficult.
You lost a sister too. I mean, understandably that you were also mourning in this process too,
Yeah, I think within the family unit of being within our cultural space, when you're an elder sister, and also because my siblings are born in this country, they are in England, so they're very much brought up in the very Euro mindset, structure. So sometimes there's always, I do have the Euro structure of how things are, but I'm very much also been brought up by a very African grandmother, and my grandmother couldn't read and write. My grandmother spoke Sena from Mozambique, no English, no European language. So there is certain things that you have to do within our cultural space when it comes to death and how you have to process things, and there are things you have to do, which I think a lot of the times it's not really expressed as much here. And there's a certain, I think there's like a cultural, there's a cultural misunderstanding in a lot of things. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I do understand where they're coming from as a way of me also being brought up here, but I also don't understand certain things because that's not how I was also brought up, because I was brought up on both sides of the spectrum. But when it comes to grief and doing certain things, there are things that you have to do within our culture. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's difficult, and it's difficult in a way as well, because my father is very much, he was born in Zimbabwe. My grandfather came in the 1960s in the UK. He was a inspector of schools in Gloucester in the 1960s as a black man from then Rhodesia. So my father, so although my father came here as a teenager, and all of his siblings, although they are Zimbabwean by birth, there is still certain cultural things that they don't really kind of follow that I would have followed. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just, yeah. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, I mean, I guess your family's expectations of how you should have handled this situation were different because of maybe their upbringing than your upbringing.
And their understanding, and it was quite hard, I think, after losing my sister last year. And then there's a lot of things that came up, and within that was quite hard. I think that was quite hard. And I think with me was, the first thing I would have thought was all my siblings would be, but I think my siblings wanted my dad to be strong, but my dad just wasn't. My dad was not strong. It was losing my sister, I think it just completely destroyed him. And I think they wanted me to then take that role as the strong parent, but I'm not a parent. I am a sibling.
Right. Well, that sounds tough.
Yeah, it was hard. It's hard, but I'm also a mother, and my first priority is the well-being of my son as well. He's lost an aunt.
I take it they were close too.
Oh, very. I think she was an aunt, because they went to Zimbabwe together. She used to come and see us even when we were doing projects with reusable energy projects. And that's one of the reasons why she ended up doing biotechnology, was because she was very much interested in helping farming in Africa. And that was what we were doing. We were working on projects on, and that's what she was doing. So we were very similar in our mindset of what we wanted to do, for the future, and what we wanted to help. She was such an amazing human being, beautiful human being.
I got you.
Yeah.
I was asking you earlier about how your stepfather and your mother got together, considering his mindset. How did that happen?
They got together, actually. I'm going to be like, they got together in the 1970s. And in the 1970s, Rhodesia, black and white folks were not allowed. It was against the law. So my mom used to go on dates with him, and he used to put her in the boot boot is what is it called?
Trump.
The trunk of the car, because after 6 p.m. black people were not allowed in white areas.
Where the tire is?
Pardon?
Where the tire is, like where you put the tire or luggage?
Yes, you were not. Yes, they were not allowed. So, and then after 6 p.m. she would sneak out. You know, like I would sneak out of the house. You had to have a pass to go into certain white areas during that time, and if you weren't, you get arrested. If you were black, you'd be arrested.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah. So then I think after that, the relationship had to end because he was also an undersecretary of the Rhodesian government. He shouldn't be actually dating a black woman. Hey ho. But these things happened. And then I think what happened was they separated. And then my mother, during the time she was all, you know, happy, black power, 1980s after independence and all. She got with my father, and then she married my father and had me. And yeah, and then that ended. Yeah, I'm laughing because it's just, I think as a black woman, my mother just wanted to be with some, you know, just wanted to be loved and be, you know, taken care of, and to be, you know, she wanted a, you know, family of her own where she can, you know, be in this new age Zimbabwe, you know, because being from Rhodesia, and says, yeah, new age Zimbabwe, let's embrace, you know, black families and, you know, create a legacy here. And it didn't happen. I think it broke her heart. I think it really did. It broke her heart because my mother really loved my dad. She really did. And my dad also went through a lot, and him coming to the UK in the 1970s when he was just a teenager, I think was it was a big culture shock, you know, coming from then Rhodesia and then coming to, you know, away from his mom. His mother had passed away quite early, and away from his, you know, whatever he knew, all the things that he knew. So I think the idea of family and family unit, I don't think existed in my father's psyche. I don't think. I think he doesn't think he married my mother, but I don't think he knows what it is to be committed to someone. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think he didn't see it. He didn't have a good example, so I didn't expect him to have to, you know, my grandmother, my mum's side of the family, my grandmother and my grandfather were together from when, so they've always been together from when she was born until, you know,
right.
My grandfather died in 1999 and my grandmother died just recently, a few years ago. But she had that family unit. My father did when she was really young, but then my grandfather broke up with my grandma, and I think it was very difficult for my father's siblings. They've been through quite a lot of like abandonment, and, you know, because of the situation of how it was in Rhodesia at the time. And my grandfather ended up coming to the UK and got married and had other children. So it was hard.
You said that you grew up, but you didn't grow up with your stepfather, or did you grow up with your stepfather?
I grew up with my stepfather. Was my stepfather for when I was 5 years old until I was when he died when I was 15.
So they got back together after your father?
Yes, after my father, yeah. Because my father, I have a brother who's a year, there are quite a lot of siblings actually, but I've got a brother who's a year and a day younger than me. And I think, you know, with that, I don't know what happened. I'm not gonna say what happened, but I think that was one of the reasons why my mother ended up saying, no, I don't want to, because they were married. They were supposed to be, a family unit. And my mum was in Zimbabwe. My dad was in the UK. And that happened.
Your brother isn't your mother's child, it's your father's child.
No, of course, no. I've got a brother, an older brother who's 11 years older than me. And then I've got a younger brother who's a year and a day younger than me. Yeah.
Okay. So she got with the Rhodesian guy. They broke up. She got with your father. They got married. They got divorced, and then she got back with the Rhodesian guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She needed stability for her kids.
I got you. Okay. So how did they get back together? Or I guess you were 5. You don't know, or
I don't know. They just got back together.
Okay. All right. Let's. You said the object was a pot. So the object represents what you want most in the world, and you want a pot. What type of pot is it? What does it look like?
Le Creuset. What's it called?
Crystal.
The one that you make like stews for a long time. I'm echoing again.
You are? All right, hold on. Oh.
Hello?
It stopped.
Yeah, but your voice is all chipmunky. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now I hear the chipmunk.
Now I sound like a chipmunk. This is some weird voodoo. Oh, I don't know what's happening. Okay, let's say.
I still hear the chipmunk. You still hearing the chipmunks?
No.
You're not?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's start. Let's go back. We said it was nighttime. There was something you were afraid of. You said the animal was an elephant. The elephant is how the animal is how you see people.
Okay.
So based on that, an elephant it's big, it's strong, elephants are actually really maternal too, and they have long memories.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that, how would you correlate how you see people and an elephant?
I think everybody's bigger than me. I think I'm just a little thing in the world, just figuring things out.
What do you mean? Just you feel like people exploit that?
I think, of course they do. I think people exploit the mousiness of me. Because I'm a bit of a mouse. I'm a very bit of a mouse. I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid to upset people. I used to be a people pleaser, but not anymore. I think when I turned 40, I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this for the next 30, 40 years of my life.
I got you. Well, elephants are afraid of mice.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the whole thing.
Okay.
Elephants are afraid of mice.
It's a bit like humans with spiders. I'm afraid of mice as well. That's funny.
I don't know. Did you say you said you stop and help it, or you keep going? Which one did you say?
I'll stop and help. The big elephant.
Okay, so I take it you're intimidated by elephants, or you consider them dangerous?
They're my favorite animal.
They are?
Yeah, it's kind of my favorite animal. But I'm also quite scared of. Yeah. I love baby elephants. I find baby elephants funny.
What about them? Just the way they behave, the characteristics?
Yeah, they're Funny little things.
Where have you been around elephants? So in Zimbabwe?
Yeah. I grew up partly in Africa. We saw these elephants crossing roads, monkeys. I don't like monkeys though.
Why not? Monkeys I heard can be pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I think because we have a house in Marondera, which is outside of Harare, which is the capital city of Zimbabwe. And whenever we used to put your clothes up, those monkeys come, they take your clothes, they just naughty things. I don't really like them.
Would they ever attack people?
Yeah, not really.
Could you move over to your left?
Yeah.
I said they never attack you?
No. Just chase them
away. Just take your clothes, mess around with you.
Yeah.
Now you gotta move on a little bit to the other way, just a little bit. Right there, yeah, I got you. Okay, all right. So you would help something that you felt like could be a danger. I guess that sort of correlates with what you were saying earlier about being a people pleaser, or maybe putting other people's interests ahead of your own. You think that's true?
You've now got the monkey sound.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what happened.
Because I think it's coming from your end, the echo.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, is it echoing now?
It's still echoing. I'm gonna go on my phone.
Hello?
Yes. It's better now.
Nope, it's still echoing. It's still echoing.
I don't hear it. You have your AirPods on?
Yeah, I've got my AirPods on.
It sounds chipmunky.
Ish. No, it's okay. Actually, it's okay. Yeah, I think it's gone back to okayness-ish. All right, let me just put this like this. I don't know how to hold this. Wait 1 second. There. Okay. You can ask questions. Okay, I think that's it.
All right.
The camera is not as great, but
Looks fine. Looks the same.
that's it. Okay.
That's
good.
We're talking about the animal. And I was saying that you wanted to please, you helping the elephant, even though the elephant could be dangerous. You feel like that connects anyway to your people pleasing.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Or just the idea of other people's needs ahead of your own sometimes.
That's very much, that's very much me.
And
I think I think it comes from my parents, because my father was very much, both my parents, because I say stepfather and then my dad. I say Baba. Baba is my dad, my biological dad. So my Baba and my mom and my mummy, they really were always wanting to help the family a lot. And they used to put family members or other family over their own children at certain points. And I think they did that because they wanted to elevate everyone. My father's always wanted to elevate people. My mother's always wanted to elevate people, and sometimes it's detrimental to her own children.
I got you.
Yeah, so I think that,
or what people?
when I mean elevate, I'm talking about educating people, looking after people, you know, during the 1980s, for instance, our house was filled with like South African refugees, for instance. You know, my parents were always taking in people and making sure that people had a chance to be able to prosper in certain ways. And my father was the same. And I think that's why my mom and my dad got together, because they were very much young parents. When I mean young parents, I'm talking about having to look after their siblings at a very early age and having to, you know, making sure that everyone's okay. And I think with them, they just had this assumption that their kids are fine, but they'll go above and beyond to help other people. And I'm not saying they never took care of their children, but they didn't really fertilize their home ground, I think. And that's probably where the people pleaser, because I used to see my mum help family, you know, which is part of our culture, help family or help other people that are not even family. And then sometimes, you know, she just assumes everybody else around her or her children are okay. And it was not always the case.
So they were helping people who felt like needed their help, but didn't help their kids as much because their kids had them, and they felt like they were helping people they felt like had less than them, but didn't help their kids because they felt like, well, their kids have us.
Oh, the kids are fine. Yeah, they have us, they're fine. Yeah, he just, you know, my father was like, okay, my children have their mothers. Their mothers are, my mum looked after me, my brother's mother looked after him, my sister's mum looked after all of them. And not actually realizing that in itself is kind of detrimental to their own children in a certain way, because we still needed our father in a certain ways, and we needed our father in certain ways. We needed the attention from our father in certain ways, and we needed attention from our mother in certain ways. And I think that's why my brother's the way he is. And yeah, my older brother, I think he feels slightly abandoned, because my mom had him when she was quite young. So I think he feels slightly abandoned by the big responsibility that my mother had. Because imagine, my grandparents were refugees from Mozambique. They couldn't read and write. So by the time my mother could read and write, my mother was the one who's doing application forms for her grandparents and being the translator for my grandparents. So she was a parent at a very early age. So then she parented her siblings as well. So when she was beginning to have her children, it wasn't just me and my brother who were her kids. She had a lot of other kids. Same as my father. My father didn't just have myself and my siblings. He had a lot of other kids. And because I understand it, because I understand where they come from, I understand what they went through to be where they needed to be, even though my father is a very educated man and he understands these things, but he has this Ubuntu mindset, as well as my mother had, to be able to help the family, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's also detrimental to their own children, which is, you know, I think it affected a lot of us, I think, in a way. Because I think we felt kind of neglected in certain places, that we needed our mother or our father in certain places. But you know, you've got to understand the historical background of where they came from. My grandmother was my mum was, a refugee from, parents were refugees from Mozambique during there was war in Mozambique. They needed a better life, and then Rhodesia, and my grandparents came to Zimbabwe, Rhodesia at the time, and gave birth to all my mother's siblings there, my mother and her siblings there, and for a better life. And if my grandparents didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be here, you know?
Right.
So
Okay.
I understand what they had to go through to be able to be, you know, they had to walk the border. You know, we talk about all these immigrants coming over to either, you know, from Mexico to the US or from on boats here in the UK. We couldn't talk about, but my grandparents, they walked. They didn't go through, you know, they couldn't read and write. They didn't go through a checkpoint where they had to give their passports and all of that. They walked across the border.
Right. And then just create a new life for
And
themselves.
they created a new life for themselves so that their children could have a better life. And their children did have a better life.
Did they have to learn a different language?
Yes, my grandmother speaks Sena, which is a dialect, which is, I can understand it, but I can't speak it. But there are some words that I use when I'm speaking Shona, because Shona is the language I speak, which is spoken in Zimbabwe, that at certain points when I speak to my friends who are Shona, they'll be like, "That's not Shona," and yeah, it's Sena. So she speaks like a dialect that's spoken in Mozambique and Malawi, which is called Sena, which is basically it's another Bantu language.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you said your mother and your stepfather stayed together until you were 15, and then what happened with them?
No, my stepfather passed away. He died when I was 15. He had melanoma. He had cancer. And so I was doing my GCSEs, which is like O levels. It's like exams you take at 16 in this country. It's called GCSE. And during that time, I was helping my mom look after my stepfather because my stepfather was, you know, he died at home. Yeah, he died in our home in Sussex.
That was tough.
Yeah, it was hard. I think it was really hard on my mum because my mum was only 44 when my stepfather passed away, and it was very difficult for her. And then when she passed, I think when he passed away, I had to become a mother to actually look after my mom because she was going through this grieving process of losing her husband, you know. So I had to take a parental role to kind of get my mother to wake up and say, hey, I understand that, you know, daddy died, but you've got to live your life, you know, because she was really depressed, you know. So
that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I loved about my stepfather, he was very strict, but he protected my mom a lot. So he protected myself and my mom quite a lot because I think my mom would give and give and give. So my stepfather would put the brakes down and say, no, you can't do that. You've got to look after your family. I think that's your family, meaning your children, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's when mum started kind of concentrating on her own children at that point, because all her siblings have grown up as well. So yeah.
I understand. So I take it you were close to him too, or y'all grew to be close?
Yeah, I mean, he was strict, and I think being a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old, parents are just annoying. They're just, and the age gap. My grandfather, my stepdad was the same age as my granddad, which is Grandpa Shire. They were born 1929, which is my father's father, at the same age as my stepdad. They came from a different mindset, different world, and I came from the new age world where it's like I was born free in 1980. You know, children were supposed to be seen, not heard. Kind of generation was not what I believed in. So there was always clash, which is like what you do if you're a teenager and you just find your parents annoying. But then as I got older, I started to kind of appreciate a lot of the things that I was taught, and I was, the discipline and the understanding and the global understanding, because, you know, he was very political, and I had like firsthand the political knowledge of what happened in Rhodesia during the time when the white people were in power. So
Ted lost the war, or I guess whatever the battle was, he lost that battle. I mean, Rhodesia became Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I don't think it's about loss. I think it was more about the war is going to continue forever and ever. We have to find a solution, and they had to have a proper democratic election, and the majority were obviously going to vote for. I think it was they put Muzorewa. I think he was the prime minister. He was the prime minister at one point. It was Muzorewa was. And they put, and then later on Mugabe. I think Muzorewa was 1979. But they had to have someone in power because the war was just long. But they could have won it. I mean, they could have got the South Africans to come in, and because South Africa was still under apartheid.
Okay.
And I think one of the things when we had the Lancaster Agreement, we had to be nice to the South Africans because we're quite landlocked. So a lot of our goods and trade came from South Africa. So Mugabe had to be, very diplomatic in a way of like, oh, we've got to be nice to the South Africans. And then after South Africa got its independence, it was more like, right, let's start talking about the land issue. And my stepfather did talk about the Lancaster Agreement with Margaret Thatcher that happened in 1979, 1980, and he did stress to say that this is not going to work. So yeah, I'm quite lucky in a way of there's a historical. The people that I grew up around, when it comes to history, they're there. They're there where it's kind of changed the course of history in Southern Africa in a way, on both sides, because they did so much for the country and they've done so much on both sides. And I find myself quite privileged for that.
Okay. Being able to see both sides of
both sides of the spectrum, because I think I always hear this new age political standing with whether it's the West or Zimbabwe, and it's like there's just so much history that's kind of lost already, and it's quite scary. It's like I'm seeing things like South Africa. There's a lot of xenophobia that's happening in South Africa, and I'm thinking they've forgotten their history completely, and it's kind of sad. And it's like, if we don't, as a Black person, I'm thinking if we don't start really writing our histories, or writing the history of, like, my mom's history. My mom died in 2007, or a bit of my stepfather's history, it's going to be lost.
Yeah.
Because these are voices of people that were in it during the time when it was transitioning from, white rule to Black rule, and having my stepfather being, an undersecretary of the Rhodesian government. He was in charge of the finances of the whole country as well. You know what I mean? He was not just a small person. And they talk about, being the breadbasket of Africa, and they're talking about the breadbasket who was handling the accounts. My stepfather was handling it.
You said xenophobia in South Africa towards how so?
Yeah, there's xenophobia towards Black, like South African Blacks against Black Zimbabweans.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's really bad at the moment, and I think it's just kind of the same type of rhetoric playbook that's happening all over the world right now with the UK and the US. It's just the same kind of playbook where you always have to blame the minorities for things, and it's the same thing that's happening in South Africa, where there's a lot of everything that's that's happening at the moment is economic. Is economic migrants coming from Zimbabwe wanting a better life for their kids. So they go to South Africa for a better life, and then they go to places like hospitals when they're giving birth or when they're unwell. And some of the Black South Africans are stopping Zimbabweans from getting healthcare. Things like that. And it's the same here. It's the same kind of people putting up these flags and saying, patriarchy and all that. It's the same kind of thing. All people coming over here on boats, but we voted Brexit and we don't want foreigners and this and that, the rest of it. It's the same kind of thing.
Well, I mean, obviously that's happening a lot here with ICE and
all this stuff. Oh yeah, but it's like the same playbook. After independence, I mean, I could tell you about the way my mother was treated under independence, because my mother was given a job as a manager for the Publicity Association in Harare, right? And basically, she did her job brilliantly, and she was the face of like post Rhodesia, post Zimbabwe, Black Power kind of. But then because her name was Arutura, which is a Portuguese name from Mozambique, and she was from Mozambique. She went through a lot of xenophobia from other Zimbabweans, saying that jobs should go to indigenous Zimbabweans, whatever that means, because the borders were only created quite recently. So, yeah.
That's a lot.
I need to write a book one day.
History repeats itself. I mean, like what you were saying.
Yeah, of course it does. It does. And I think if we don't actually talk about it and educate people, it's just going to continue to get repeated again and again. And I've been saying this in the past like 5 years ago, but like, oh yes, we're going to have this, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and but people don't learn from history. And I think the human psyche or the human being really do want to be able to. I look at my grandmother and my grandfather, they just want to support their families. They want to be able to have a home, support their families, and not have the stress of not being able to do that. And I think with the UK at the moment, we're in a predicament at the moment where we were under the Tory rule for over 14 years, and they've cut a lot of public sector things from, youth, NHS, and instead of saying, okay, it's the government that's done this, they then blame, it's because of the immigrants, they're taking our jobs, they're taking the NHS. It's like the other day I had an appointment to see the doctor, and I got there just on time, and this man was huffing and puffing because obviously I'm a Black woman and I've got this long name, Muchanete Elliott-Swam, and he was like, coming over, they're coming over here and they're getting appointments more than before we do. And I'm thinking, what? And I'm thinking, and that's how England is at the moment. It's not very pleasant.
Right. Yeah.
It's not very pleasant, and it's people are frustrated. They can't get appointments for the NHS, and people like Farage and them are telling people that it's blame the immigrants.
Right. Yeah.
Blame the non-whites.
Gotcha. So there, I mean, obviously it's Africans from, in the UK it's Africans from everywhere.
From everywhere, yeah. And Jamaicans. Let's not forget there's a huge population of Jamaicans as well who came during the Windrush.
Right. I got you. Okay, so you said
after the war.
No, you said the object was a pot. We went to that, then we came back. What type of pot is it? It's
that posh one, the crusade. Is it crusade? cruise something. I can't remember, crusade or something like that. Crusade.
Like they're made out of.
It's like it's made out of like I don't know, it's hard. It's like that one, you know, the casserole dish thing that you cook for hours.
Oh, a Pyrex.
Something
Like,
like
is it
that.
clear?
No, it's
Is
not
it
clear.
clear?
No, it's like it's no, it's like a big, it can be big, and it's like that orange pot that's orange, and it's quite,
Like,
it's like crusade, le crusade, like it's like for like casseroles and stuff.
okay, you
It's just
put it in
like
the oven.
an iron, yeah, it's an iron, yeah, it's like an iron pot. But it's, for me, I think, I don't know whether it's because one of my love languages is I like to cook for the people I love. That's how I share my love. And some people don't actually see that as something that
That's a beautiful thing.
they don't I don't think people see that as a love, as something that, oh, I love you, I cook for you. But for me, it's like, I love you, I cook for you. I care for you, I cook for you.
That's a beautiful thing. I would see it that way. Shoot.
Because that's the, you know, and I love to cook for the people that I love.
So you could have anything in the world. You could have said anything. You said you wanted a pot. So more than anything, you want to be able to, if that's the way you love, you want to be able to love people.
Yes, I think, and also make sure people don't go hungry. I don't like people going without. I
That's very,
want to, yeah, I don't like to see people going out without food or without, you know, because I've seen it, and it's really, it's not, you know, I think being just, you know, being a grandchild of refugees, I've I've seen how it is. I've seen how it is. I've seen poverty, and I've seen dire poverty before. I've seen children with kwashiorkor, we know, with malnutrition, and it's whether it's also like a DNA within my memory as well of my grandparents and things. You just don't want to see people struggle. That's, you know, not being able to feed themselves or eat. That's, yeah, that comes
that's
from my grandparents. That comes from my grandparents. Yeah, that's probably why I like to do the work I do when it comes to agriculture, farming, and we're doing Future Solar. A lot of the work that I do is very much, I want to give back to Zimbabwe, or give back to my continent, because I think we deserve it. We've just been through so much, and we just survive. We want to also live. We want to, you know, we want to be able to eat what we like. We want to be able to not always fighting systems, global systems, fighting this, fighting that. It's like constant, and it's just, I just want peace, and just cook and just eat
I got you.
with no stress.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, I don't feel like that's being a people pleaser, but it is putting, and not even putting your needs, putting other people's needs ahead of your needs, but you know, it does speak to your desire to help. Like, you know, in a situation like that where you could have thought of anything, you were still thinking about what you could do for someone else.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because, you know, I think it's hard for a lot of you know, women in particular around the world. I mean, coming from where I come from, you know, seeing my mum, you know, struggling. I did see my mum struggle at one point when she came, when her and I came back from the UK, and that's when, after that, that's when my mum remarried my stepfather, because she just wanted, I think she wanted the best for her kids, and she wanted to, support her family, and that's what she has done all her life. And yeah,
I got you.
it's hard. It's hard.
You said the cup was made out of gold. So the so you're a selfless person and you care about other people, but you said the cup was made out of gold, so you do have some sense of materialism, or
I think I'm from the southern part of Zimbabwe, where Great Zimbabwe is. That's my ancestors, and we used to trade gold with the Chinese before Europeans came to our area. We used to trade gold with what are they called, the Arabs, so that's part of who I am in the history. I do come from a royal lineage, you know what I mean? So I can't change who I am within my historical, even though I'm kind of humbly away in the UK in the cold. I do come from quite a prestigious family. I mean, the Zimbabwean flag itself, that's my totem, that's my family's totem. We're not small people. We're Karangas. We're the ones who built that great Zimbabwe. My ancestors were not just small people. So I think the gold cup comes from my lineage, from that, I guess. I don't know.
so what gold do you represent? Sort of your family heritage, royalty?
Yeah,
Just,
yeah. I think my family lineage. We were Mazimambo. We were big people. We were big people, and my great grandparents were kings. So it's not like So I can't change that history, and I can't change that fact of my lineage.
I got you.
But I still kind of, from both sides. I mean, I still respect the struggle. I respect what they had to go through after colonization, because after colonization, Queen Victoria decrowned a lot of these kings and took land, and we had to pay taxes to the British Crown. I mean, the English Crown. It is what it is. But I do come from a very, very strong, prestigious family.
I got you.
So that's probably where the gold cup comes from.
You said it was filled with water. You have the gold, which is a very elegant, material, but it's filled with water. So what it's filled with sort of is more about your approach to life. So you're sort of more focused on just the fundamental aspects of life, or just,
I think water is a very important thing to me, because within my culture, my mother's totem is Ziva, and Ziva is water.
Okay.
So water gives life, and the people that come from water, who are the totems of water, are called Vamsikavanu. So Vamsikavanu people are people that give life. They give life. So anything to do with water is very sacred to me. So when I speak to my ancestors, or speak to my mom's ancestors, or I always speak to the water people. So each and every person has a totem. My totem is Hungwe, which is the water eagle, which is a water eagle. Okay. And my totem is Shiri Hungwe, right, which is the water eagle. My mother is Ziva, which is water. Anything that comes from a water. So within our our totem is about preservation. So we don't eat anything of the eagle, or you don't eat eagle, or if your totem is a monkey, you don't eat monkeys. If your totem is a pig, you don't eat pig. And it's all about preservation. And this is how we pray to our ancestors using our totems. So water is very important, because water is the totem of the person that gave me life. So the gold is probably, I don't know, this is my interpretation, because of my father's lineage, they are kings and whatever within past. And then water is my mother's totem, is Zira. And she's the one who gave us life. And people who are Ziva, Vamsikavan, who are the creators of human beings, because we were born from the water, we come from the water. So
it sort of speaks to the same thing, like when you were talking about your childhood, about, you know, your parents, you had both of your parents, and, you know, I guess you grew up pretty well, but they were so focused on other people who maybe didn't have as much as you. So you still have this gold cup, which is very, you know, like I said, elegant, speaks to your lineage, but the water to you represents more the power of it has to sustain life, or than. So it's like, you know, you're still going back to the thing of how you grew up, of how you had all these privileges, but a lot of the privileges that you had were giving to other people, or even with the pot, where it's like, you know, it isn't so much the water's power to help you as the water's power to help people in general.
Mm-hmm. I think we come from a culture where it's called Ubuntu, which is our Bantu culture, which is like you are because I am. So whatever you have, and you have more, you give to who hasn't. So that's the fundamental of the Ubuntu culture. So now it doesn't always work when you're living in a Western world, because there are times when you do give and you do give and you do give, but it then becomes expected and it doesn't reciprocate, because that's the Ubuntu thing is about. You give, like one day, like 1 year, you have abundance of crops, and you give extra if you don't have any. Do you understand? And then the next year, that same person will give to you. You understand? Whereas now it's just like you have. So you need to give, you need to give, you need to give. And there's no reciprocation to that. And I think it's the same with my dad, and my mom. They did give, and they did give, and they did give. And the same people that they gave, not all, because there's a lot of people that have, you know, who love and respect my parents, but they did give and they did give. And some people just took advantage of it, you know, because then they've been contaminated from that I don't know, whatever culture that got contaminated, because that's not what Ubuntu is about. It's about, you know, looking after each other as a community, as a family unit. That's why I don't just have one mom. I've got a lot of mothers. I've got a lot of fathers. You know, my father's brothers are also my fathers. My mother's sisters are also my mothers, and their children are my brothers and sisters. And that's how we operate. But it doesn't always work when you're now in this new age European mindset as well, because there are people who do take a lot of advantage of it. So that's where the people pleasing comes, because I've seen my mom, this is the culture. And then sometimes there are people who do exploit it. And sometimes when you know, there are some people who exploit it, and it becomes, as you know, me being a child, sometimes you get exploited by some of your family members. Not, you know, I can't say, but they do exploit, and then they manipulate the culture to be able to control you. And it did for quite a long time, but not anymore. I kind of put that on a boundary stuff. But I think living in Europe in the diaspora, it's contaminated our culture quite a lot, the Ubuntu culture, and it hurts me and it upsets me, because it's like I do love to cook. I do like to do things for my family. I do like to do all of these, to support my family. But I also would like to be appreciated and it be reciprocated, But
Right. Yeah.
it doesn't always happen. No, it doesn't always happen. And I've accepted that. I've moved on and accepted that.
What changes from giving to others taking more so.
Yeah, I think it's good to give, but it's just, yeah, I enjoy giving and I enjoy doing things for the people I care about. But, I also want to be appreciated as well, to say, oh, I would for Christmas. At one Christmas, I think I cooked for 18 people, including my siblings and and they don't actually realize the amount of work that went through that. You understand? And it's not really appreciated at certain points. Becomes expected, and then whenever it's like it'll be my birthday or my wedding or anything, there's no one would actually go above and beyond for that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the only person who I've got a few of my family that I would say, oh, this person has gone above and beyond, but there's just absolutely no one.
I feel you.
I would say, I mean, my sister Amelie, when just before she passed away, she was like, "Oh, sis, I didn't realize being a bridesmaid, you had to like help the bride." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." She was like apologizing for that. My sister Amelie would help me and do a lot of other things, but I think my others they just expected that I'm the big sister, so you just have to do everything. It's a very difficult thing, but it's also what you've been taught. My mother didn't teach me that. We have different moms. My mother didn't teach me to be selfish like that. When it comes to family, we all chip in and we do things together. So yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult, and I don't know whether it's a cultural thing, and maybe it's a cultural thing, and I probably missed it. But cultural thing meaning being brought up in England, but I just wasn't brought up with that.
But you said the cup, you said it was half full or half empty?
No, it was full.
Half
with
full.
Water.
So even with all those things, you're a pretty optimistic person.
Oh yes, you have to be, because there's just so much things about life that you have to take risks and discover. And I've got so many plans, and I've got so many other children in my life that are going to come. My son's going to be 17, he's going to be 18 next year, so he's going to go to university next year. And I'm just thinking, there's so many things, I've got so much stuff to do. So there's a lot of things to look forward to, and there's so many brilliant people that I've met in my life. So there are things that happen in life, you learn from it, and then you move on and you change. The Sekai from last year is not the Sekai from 5 years ago is not the Sekai from now. The Sekai from last year is not the Sekai from now. I've grown a lot, I think. No, I think I have. I've grown a lot. Yeah.
So you said the body of water was an ocean. So you're a very passionate person or a very loving person. The ocean is the largest body of water there is. So the larger the body of water, the more passionate, the more loving you are. But you said that you fly over it. So in some ways, maybe you're flying over or avoiding your passion or desire for love, or
Probably, I don't know. I think when you've experienced certain things in your life where you're having to unpack things within your life. I have spent years of being belittled a lot by people that supposed to be the caring people that are supposed to care and support you. So not my mother. My mother has never belittled me, or my partners, or I've always been very lucky to have partners and people that have actually uplifted me, because I tend to choose people that would uplift me. But yeah, my father in a way has I think, because he's been, after my mother died when I was 23, I think he's been the parent go-to. And sometimes when you've got a parent go-to that has been trodden down for so long, and then you try to find advice or comfort from a person like that, they tend to belittle you a lot. And I think in certain parts of myself, although there's a lot of parts of my father that would say, oh yes, he's helped me with a lot, there's a certain parts where there's a bit of belittling there, being put down or being belittled. And I don't know whether that's why there's an avoidance of, me actually going after my passions, because there's a feeling of I don't want to upset my father. I want my father to be proud of me. I don't know.
Okay. When I was saying, I don't really, I try to keep it broader than it actually is, but when I was saying like passion, it's really more of truthfully a sexual thing, like having a large or sexual, passion, love, sex, all of those things sort of, your father too, but more so just in a more relationship or connection dynamic than a father-daughter relationship. Or do you feel like
Oh,
so when you were saying you flew over it, do you feel like you're avoiding that on some level?
I don't think it's important at this point. I've got so many things that I need to kind of focus on, and I think you, as a woman, as a Black woman, as an African woman, it's always been put on a back burner. That's least of my problems. So
At least.
yeah, it's the least of my problems. I've got to, there's a plan that I have, and I have to deal with that. I can't. I mean, I look at my mom. My mom was married to my father, and they were so in love, and I know they were, and it didn't work out. So you end up having to. You've got to. You've got to begin to make decisions in your life that better your life, that allows not just me. It's not about just me. There's just so many thousands and thousands of other people. I've probably sounding like what you call it, like I want to be a hero or something like that. But there's so many other Black women and Black girls that I would love to inspire to the next future, to be able to do better for our continent. Basically, I just don't have the time to start thinking about, oh, what am I, my passions in that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not really.
What's the word? Like a martyr? You feel like a martyr?
Um, I wouldn't say a martyr. I would say more like, I want the next generation to be able to have that choice. I've
Yeah.
got other things I need to concentrate on. Do you understand what I'm saying? The next generation of women have, they can have that. The same way my mother sacrificed, she sacrificed a bit of her childhood and had this, so that her siblings can have a better life and her kids can have a better life. And so there's certain things you have to sacrifice about yourself so that the next generation can have. I can't be thinking about all of that and say, oh, I would have to fly around the radar and get to what I need to get. I don't have time.
Okay, I
And
understand that, but it still didn't answer the question of if that's what you're doing. Okay, it's sort of like, all right, it did answer the question of if that is what you're doing, or do you feel like that's what you're doing?
That's what I'm doing, and that's what I feel like I'm doing.
Okay. That was the only
It's life,
question.
man.
I got you. Okay. You said the wall was 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
How tall are you?
5'4".
5'4". I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you could, but that's relatively tall. It's a little taller than you, but you said it was easy to climb over. So the wall sort of represents sort of the trials and tribulations you had in your life. So a 6 feet tall wall is taller than you, but it isn't incredibly tall. So you feel like you haven't had that many trials and tribulations in your life, or?
I think what I do is I compare my trials and tribulations of what my parents and grandparents have gone through. And
Okay.
they have gone through a lot. So I think with a lot of it, I minimize what I've overcome, because I've overcome quite a lot. But then I think about it. So when I'm trying to cry, I'm like, oh, this is so hard. I start thinking about, hey, at least when I was walking just down the road, I had shoes. My grandmother walked from Mozambique to Zimbabwe, or then Rhodesia, with no shoes on, no shoes to her name, nothing. Sometimes she said they would tell, my mom would tell me, we went to bed eating sadza. Sadza is like pop, is like maize meal with salt. We had no money to eat. And then I also hear things about my aunties and uncles. They went through quite a lot with the way they were treated by other family members when they were growing up and things like that. And I'm thinking, you know what? My life is not that bad.
But even that it sort of connects to the people pleasing, or not so much the people pleasing. You seem to see a lot of things in relation to other things. So it's sort of like, well, I've gone through things, but relative to other people, I haven't gone through a lot of stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like,
And yeah, that's true. And that's probably how people treat me as well. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's only just recently I've realized, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I think if I do talk about what I've been through, it's an excuse to, I don't know that, like, I don't know. Something happened to my psyche that has allowed me to belittle my experiences by comparing to others. And I think that's how I've survived.
okay, so let's forget everybody else. I'm talking to you. There is no comparison in relation to, do you feel like you've had a lot of trials and tribulations in your life? Have it been difficult, hard?
It's been hard.
It's been hard.
Very hard, yeah. In certain points, yeah. It's survival mode. It's hard.
How many feet? Okay, outside of your grandmother and the shoes, just you. You're the only person. You don't have anything else to compare it to. How many feet tall? When you think about when you're looking at this wall, how many feet tall do you think it is?
200 feet. 200 feet.
200 feet. That's pretty tall.
Yeah. And it's like I'm trying to get up, 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 and I can't get to the end of the wall. I can't get on the top of the wall, because every single time I'm like, oh, I'm getting to the end, there's a big block that just gets added on, gets added on, gets added on, added on, added on.
So even with the 200 feet, it's still growing. The wall continues to grow higher.
Because I feel like, oh my God, I'm almost there, I'm almost there, I'm almost there. And then another block, and then another block, and then another block. That's my reality. That's how I see things. But then comparing to everybody else, it's the 6 feet tall. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad, because my grandmother went through this.
I feel you. I mean, I get it. I get it. I get it. So how many feet tall is the wall now then?
In my life right now,
Yeah.
10 feet. No, 20 feet.
20 feet, but it's okay. Without the
No, I'm just
comparison,
talking. No, about 200 feet. 200 feet. Yeah.
how high up the wall do you feel like you are?
Halfway.
Halfway.
But then
When you said,
when I'm getting there, it's going to add. But that's life, though. That's what I think.
you said
Life,
you're almost there. Where's there?
almost there. I think I've I've had to deal with my mother's estate for over 18 years. So I am still dealing with it. So I'm like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And then more things is done. You know, I have to do more things, and it just gets to me a lot. And I just want a closure there. That's part of probably where I see the war, because I
So
think,
there,
huh?
sorry, go ahead. I'll cut you off. Go ahead.
No, because I think that is another. You know, I'm trying to fix other people's messes. You know.
So the there is sort of finding some closure, some completion with
Very
your
much
mother.
so, yes. And then obviously my sister passed away. I haven't got closure there. I mean, it is what it is, you know. But I've got to start. I've got to start living my life instead of having to fix other people's things and help other people all the time. I need to build myself up.
So you lost your stepfather when you were 15.
Yeah,
So then what happened with your, how old were you when you lost your mother?
23.
So wow, 8 years later. So
Yeah.
what was the journey from losing your stepfather to losing your mother?
Um, it was hard. It was hard, I think. I think when I was left with my stepfather, I was devastated because it was just like, I just thought he was going to live forever, you know? And I think with my stepfather, because we used to always have political knickknocks, because obviously, I think he thought maybe I didn't, as a stepchild, I think he thought, oh, my stepdaughter probably doesn't love me or something. I don't know. Yeah, I thought maybe, yeah. And then when I found out he was dying, I just broke down, and he broke down. I've never seen this man cry in my life. He was, you know, that generation of like, oh, you don't cry, you don't do, you're strong, stiff upper lip English, da 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 da. You're stuck in your ways, and he cried, you know, and yeah, he cried because I was like, oh, you know, I didn't realize you're gonna die. I didn't think you didn't look like a person who's gonna die. I didn't think he was gonna go. I think the reason why I was also quite upset that he died was because who's gonna look after my mum? That was the biggest thing, because when I was younger, before my stepfather came, I used to see my mum cry a lot, and it was either because of what my father did, and the way she was treated by other people, and it all stopped when she was with my stepfather, and I think that made me happy in a way, like, oh, you know, seeing my mum better, in a better place. So yeah, so I was like, who's going to look after her? And then my stepfather did say before he died, please look after your mum. But I didn't. I feel like I didn't. I looked after her the best way I can, and then she, you know, I did try. Yeah. Oh, are you there? I don't know what happened.
Me, this is
Yeah.
okay. I'll cut you off. You were saying after your stepfather passed away, you felt like he didn't know that you loved him.
Oh, I don't. I think in the end he did. I think in the end he knows he knows that I did. But I think in the end he knows I did. But then I was slightly angry with him for leaving my mom, to be honest.
What he did leave or take.
It's not his
What's
fault. It's not her fault. It wasn't his fault. But I was only 15. I was 15. I mean, it's like you, because I knew that my mother was going to be was well looked after. She didn't have to worry about anything. And I think when I was younger, I used to see my mother doing so much and worrying and doing this. And then when she was my stepfather, it was like she put her socks up, and she didn't have to worry about half of the things that she didn't have to worry about a lot of things. And then my stepfather, before he passed away, he said to me, look after your mum. And I did try, but she died.
Well, so what was your journey? What was the journey for your mother from the period of your stepfather passing away to her passing away?
I think the first year she really couldn't cope. She was not coping at all, to the point where she got really depressed. And sometimes I'll come home from school and she'll still be asleep in bed. And then there was a time when I said to my mum, you're 44 years old, you need to get up and live your life now. You can't, daddy wouldn't want you to do this. You need to start living your life. And she started, slowly but surely, finding things that she wanted to do, and she started living her life. We also did a business together. We tried to do a lot of stuff, and then she was dating. She dated another guy from Ireland, and then after she finished dating, it didn't work out, and she dated this guy called Clive, and I didn't quite think that he was a good person. He wasn't really good. And I did say to my mom, you need to be very careful, with the people that you date, because sometimes these people, when they see, my stepfather left my mother quite comfortable, and this man just took advantage of that and got with my mom, and they moved to Africa, and they were between Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and he got with my mom, and I told her, I said, Mum, you need to be very careful. I told her you need to be very careful, but she didn't listen. And ended up with this guy. They're in Mozambique, drove all the way from Mozambique to Zimbabwe, which is 9 hours. And then my mum died on the way. She was not well, apparently. And then all for a sudden, after we found out my mom died, he then said, oh, by the way, your mom left everything to me.
What was her illness, or do you know?
Pardon?
What was her illness or claimed illness?
Oh, there was two postmortems. There was first one was neuralgia, which I don't know what that is, and then acute pancreatitis. So during that time when my mother passed away, there was only 2 pathologists in the whole country, because we were going through, there was financial stuff going through in Zimbabwe at the time. It was like a lot of people were leaving the country and stuff. So we still don't really know exactly what happened to my mum. We don't know how he carried this, my mum from Mozambique to Zimbabwe. And my mum was only 50 years old, and after a few months after my mum passed away, he remarried someone else.
Okay.
And so, pardon?
He took, and he taken everything she had or whatever.
Oh, I can see. Sometimes you just look on Facebook, you see this woman wearing my mum's clothes. You see this woman. It is actually quite devastating, and I'm quite upset with myself, because I promised my stepfather that I was going to look after my mum, but I didn't. I feel like I did not. But I did warn my mum. But people tell me, "Oh, your mum is an adult. She can make decisions for herself." I do understand that, but parts of me also feels like I didn't protect didn't protect her.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's hard.
I get it. Clive, what happened to Clive? Or
Oh, he's still in Mozambique with his wife.
did you ever have any interaction with him or relationship
Oh,
with
yes,
him?
I
Or
did. Not really. No, I didn't like him at all. I did not like him at all. I did not. It was crazy because I was 22. I remember just going to my auntie's house and my dad's house, just say, please talk to my mom about this man. Like, he's not okay. It's just, and people are thinking I'm a psychopath. You don't want your mother to be happy, leave your mom to be happy. Da, 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 da. I'm like, this guy is not okay. Isolated my mother. Do you know when I was a red flag was my uncle passed away. My mom's brother passed away in January of 2007. And oh my gosh. And and he he told my mother not to go to his funerals, as if it was your mother or your parent. Your parent is understandable, but you're not going to your brother's funeral, right? And then 6 months later, my mother passed away because I don't know
what was
what
the
he was
reason?
doing. I don't know what happened to her. I really don't know. I don't know whether this man poisoned her. I don't know. He's never, I'm the only person who kind of confronted him and said, you killed my mom. What happened to my mom? You haven't told me exactly what happened between you driving my mother from Beira, Mozambique to Zimbabwe. He
And what
never
did he
told me
say?
that. No, he wrote a letter and that was it.
No, but when you confronted him, what did he say?
Oh, he ran away. He ran away. He couldn't look at me in the eye. Ran away.
Like you were standing in front of him, you asked him this, and he
Oh,
ran away.
yes. And he ran away. Didn't want to confront me. Didn't want to give us mom's passport. This is a man who was
Okay.
dating my mom for like a year and a bit, like before they wrote a will, which was bizarre because she went to another firm to write a will that we used to have, the same firm that we did everything for. Like we did my dad's will, did my change of name because my parents changed my name from Shire to Elliott. My when we did business with my mom, we had business agreement that was from Ricks and Kay. Her will she did with after my stepfather passed away was Ricks and Kay. So why would she go to another place to do a new will out of the blue with a new person that she just met 5 minutes ago? It is just but my stepfather said to me, your mother is so naive. You need to make sure your mom is well taken care of because people take advantage of her, and that's including her parts of her family. I'm not going to say because I don't want to say too much, but my dad did say that to me, and I just I failed. I really did fail my mom. I failed her. Because I knew how she was. I know how she was, and I knew how she just, and I didn't help her, you know. And most people will say, "Oh no, it's not your fault," but
I mean, I can't see. It's not your fault, but I understand why you feel that way. I
yeah,
mean,
it's hard because the thing with it is that my mom grew up in the village with mud hut in the village, in Rusape, in Zimbabwe, in Rusape. They used to put, cow dung as the flooring, and they had no electricity. You understand? So with me being I grew up in the suburbs. I had the privilege of knowing and seeing things, whereas my mom, even though she had the knowledge, she's very trusting. And there's this ideology, sorry to say that, because he is a white man and he had da 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 da. I think there was that ideology that with the white supremacism that, oh, he wouldn't do that. White people won't do that. But thinking it's not about whether a person is white or trustworthy or whatever, but because there was a long list of men who promised my mother the world and ended up hurting her. And the white man that he was married to was my stepfather, who looked after her, who really, really did look after her. So I think she had this idea that all Englishmen are like this, really, but they're actually not. This was a conman. He just wanted her things. Didn't care about her.
I mean, greed has no color. Evil has no color,
Pardon?
truthfully.
Yeah,
I
it's
say greed
true.
has no color.
No,
I mean,
greed
you
has
know what
no
I mean?
color.
Like,
Oh gosh, yes. Oh gosh, we know that. Okay. Oh gosh, yes. I know. I'm dealing with that now. Greed has no color. It's true. Very true. But I
yeah,
think you've got to understand how this generation has been programmed as well. You know, being brought up in Rhodesia. You know, I grew up with white folks since I was a baby. They've just been in contact with white folks, like the white people that my mother had contact with were my grandparents used to work on a farm, and the farmers were the ones she had contact with. You understand what I'm saying? When she was 8 years
yeah,
old, when she was wanting to pay for her school fees, she paid school fees for her school fees for herself, and she was 8 years old working in the fields in Rusape, and she went and she asked for a job to the Muzungu, to the white man, to say, can I have a job, at the age of 8 years old. And that's
right.
the type of contact she had, with white folks. She didn't have the relationship until she was older, like the proper relationship of the cultural concept of who are these people? What is the European culture? Now I've had that from start to finish. I mean, I'm not finishing it now, but from birth, I've been in contact with the European culture from birth. Whereas her relationship with the European culture, or with the white ruling elites in Zimbabwe, whatever, in Rhodesia, then was, transactional. If you understand what I'm saying? It was like, I respect you, respect me. You do this, and I do this. So there was
I
always that
got you.
kind of respect. You understand? There was kind of that relationship until she got, in the 1970s, when she started coming to Harare, when she went to Harare as an adult. She had a son very young. She's my older brother, very young. So she had to look after her family. So she went into Harare, and then that's when she started having contact, when she was a lot older, like late teens, when she started having contact with white folks, with the white culture. So it was always on a level of supremacy, not equal. And then when she started getting older, that's when she started having equal relationships with and she started, yeah. But before, it was more of like the white supremacy ideology,
You said once you get over the wall, you see paradise. What is paradise to you? So that's what you're working for, this paradise. What is that for you?
Peace,
Peace.
peace, peace. Once I sort out a lot of the things I need to sort out, like my mom's estate, and having to make sure my son goes to a good university, make sure that I've built my businesses to a certain level and it's actually creating jobs for people. And that's when, it's almost like I then sit down and eat my fruit. You know what I mean? Fruit of my labor, or whatever that means.
What does it look like when you close your eyes and look at, going over this wall? What do you see? You said flowers, the garden.
Yeah, like a big garden, flowers, horses, people are happy, I'm cooking, being around people that I care about, stuff like that.
Do you feel like you're happy now, or?
I think things are harder for me right now because I've got so much to deal with. But I feel like I'm in the best version of myself now than I've ever been. Mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because and I think one of the things that's so bad is learning to create boundaries, creating boundaries so that I don't just empty my cup all the time and then feed everyone else before I feed myself. And it's kind of nice feeding myself. It's kind of nice feeding myself first. And then once I'm fed, then I can then give everyone else food. Because I think that's what I everything was reversed before. Because I was starving myself by giving everyone else. But now I'm feeding myself. And then I can't wait. Once I'm full, I'm going to be able to feed everyone else, if you know what I mean. I'm on a different plateau. I'm a completely different person from what I was last year. And I'm so much happier. And it's just, even though I'm going through the grief of losing my sister or anything, but I'm just in so much of a better space. It's amazing how just, sometimes things happen and you think, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I have to cut everyone off my life. And then it's actually been a blessing in disguise.
So you feel like what happened with your sister was a catalyst for this change?
Yeah, the change is, it really has, I was rock bottom last year because of the pain of losing my sister.
Yeah.
But then it also
Inspired you.
oh, I grew up. You understand? Like I feel like an adult now. I think last year and the year before, I still felt like I was 17 trying to figure things out. But I am a woman now. I feel like a woman. I feel like I'm about to. I'm getting to my destiny. I'm getting to my purpose. If you know what I mean. It's a weird feeling.
Well, it's a beautiful feeling, or a beautiful thing. Okay. Thank you very much.